On this Monday night, Donald Trump not backing down, even as Republicans slam his border policy as inhumane, heartless, and just plain wrong. The new recording with a disturbing and heartbreaking look at kids caught in the middle, and how Canada deals with families at the border.
Plus, a CBC exclusive, Canadian couples trying to adopt in Japan suddenly told they can't bring their babies home.
Plus, when a video game obsession becomes an addiction. This is The National.
Casting around for someone to blame for the immigration mess he is in, the U.S. president is pointing fingers, saying he's been stymied by Democrats and the courts on border reforms, claiming his hands are tied as 2,000 migrant children are separated from their parents. As Paul Hunter tells us, Donald Trump's hard line is proving hard to swallow.
It's a place where the lights stay on 24/7, where within those giant chain-link cages, men, women, and children huddle together awaiting their fate. Caught crossing into the U.S. illegally and brought to this detention center in Texas for processing. Some call the place Ursula, after its street address. Others label it in Spanish, La Perrera, the dog kennel. These images provided by the U.S. government show an orderly circumstance, but audio said to have been smuggled from one such center and given to the investigative journalism group ProPublica signals something more harrowing. Subtitled from Spanish by ProPublica, a voice said to be a Border Patrol agent then makes a joke.
Bueno, aquí tenemos una orquesta.
Such detention centers have become the focal point in an intensifying debate over how the U.S. now deals with illegal crossings. A new directive by the Trump administration, zero tolerance, is to prosecute all such migrants criminally, which means by law, parents and children must be separated. The directive to prosecute has sparked broad outrage from Democrats and some prominent Republicans. Former Fox News host Bill O'Reilly calls it all unacceptable. Said former First Lady Laura Bush, it's shameful.
But just remember, a country without borders is not a country at all.
But today, Donald Trump stood firm.
The United States will not be a migrant camp, and it will not be a refugee holding facility. Won't be. You look at what's happening in Europe, you look at what's happening in other places, we can't allow that to happen to the United States, not on my watch.
Trump's Homeland Security Secretary today said the children are being well treated. There is no plan to ease up.
We will enforce every law we have on the books to defend the sovereignty and security of the United States.
Meanwhile, Adrian, the crossings, the arrests, and the family separations continue.
So, Paul, is anyone even near a fix, something everyone can agree on?
Yeah, not really. I mean, it's a mess. People are fleeing terrible situations in Central America. An overwhelming number are showing up at the U.S. border. Trump's position is that you can't just let them in without proper vetting, and there are now too many to squeeze into the vetting process, so they're arresting them. And again, by law, that means families get split up. Most would agree that's not really workable in the short or long term. Critics say family separation is absolutely not the answer, but for the moment, there's no alternative circumstance that also answers Trump's long-standing pledge to tighten the border, which, let's not forget, helped get him elected president. Adrian.
Absolutely. Okay, Paul, thanks very much. As you heard in Paul's story, Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen, in a press conference in the White House, was asked directly for her thoughts of the stories emerging from Texas. Here is more of what she said, for the record, arguing the kids are properly cared for.
10,000 of those currently in custody were sent by their parents with strangers to undertake a completely dangerous and deadly travel alone. We now care for them. We have high standards. We give them meals. We give them education. We give them medical care. There's videos. There's TVs. I visited the detention centers myself.
For the hundreds that we have seen, perhaps up to 2,000, are there any examples of child abuse, you believe? And how could this not be child abuse for the people who are taken from their parents? Not the ones who are sent here with their parents' blessing with a smuggler, and the people who are taken from their parents.
Unfortunately, I'm not in any position to deal with, hearsay stories. If someone has a specific allegation, as I always do when I testify, I ask that they provide that information to the Department of Homeland Security. We will look into it. Of course, we do not want any situation where a child is not completely adequately taken care of.
So the Homeland Security Secretary refusing to comment on what she calls hearsay stories of child abuse taking place in detention centers. But it's those images and sounds that are emerging that have sparked all the outrage. So where did the idea for this policy come from? The first public hints migrant kids might be taken from their parents came in the first months of the Trump administration. March 2017, then head of Homeland Security John Kelly floated it on television.
Are you, the Department of Homeland Security, considering a new initiative that would separate children from their parents if they try to enter the United States illegally?
I am considering exactly that.
This wasn't a new thought. The idea was introduced earlier under the Obama administration, a solution suggested by the Department of Homeland Security in 2014 in response to the so-called American immigration crisis, a surge of arrivals from Central America. Then Leon Fresco was Deputy Assistant Attorney General, immigration his focus. He heard the separation idea be offered, then rejected.
The Obama administration never wanted to do that because they thought that was an immoral way of trying to achieve a secure border.
But the idea stuck in the minds of then Republican Senator Jeff Sessions and his communications director, Stephen Miller. Now that Sessions is Attorney General and Miller is President Trump's senior policy advisor, the separation plan has found a home. But it is just policy, not law, as Trump and the head of Homeland Security continue to say. There is no statute requiring migrant families to be separated. This zero-tolerance policy put into place in April was a decision made by the Trump administration to criminally charge those who attempt to enter the United States. On either side of the political divide in the U.S., there are loud voices arguing what's happening does not look good. Still, the administration is convinced this will work. It will be and already is a deterrent. Problem is that might not be so. Look at some of the numbers so far. In March, 50,296 apprehensions at the border, a surge from the month before. April, 50,924. May, 51,912. There's still no drop.
If they remain at these numbers, these will be the highest numbers of unaccompanied minors and families from Central America that we've seen in the last about 8 years. And we're talking about numbers that are very comparable to the highest points in the Obama administration.
So what would make people still try to keep coming? Well, possibly factors beyond the administration's control. Desperation in Central American countries, that's getting worse, and prosperity in the United States that is perceived as surging. So to many, it still seems worth it to just try. Now, Rosie, the zero-tolerance policy also obviously raising questions here in Canada, and that's the part of the story you're following.
You bet, Adrienne. Since last year, the Liberal government's position on this one is to do everything they can to actually keep children out of detention. And today, Ottawa says it is tracking Trump's border crackdown to see if the U.S. remains safe for asylum seekers. Evan Dyer explains what that means for Canada's immigration policies.
Children are very precious creatures, and we all, I'm sure, need to have their safety, their security, their well-being first and foremost in our minds, and that is what lies at the very basis of Canadian policy.
The government says it's keeping a close eye on the family separation policy, as some question whether this country's agreement to send asylum seekers back to the U.S. can still hold. The Safe Third Country Agreement is based on the idea that the two nations treat asylum seekers in similar ways. But the U.S. is separating families and detaining children at a time when Canada's government has been moving to end the practice. Last November, Public Safety Minister Ralph Goodale issued a directive ordering the Canada Border Services Agency to put the best interests of the child first. Hannah Gross of the University of Toronto's Faculty of Law wrote the report that called for an end to child detention in this country.
We see children developing anxiety disorders, depression, even suicidal ideation. And even after they spend only brief periods of time in detention or separated from their parents.
For now, Canada still considers the U.S. a safe third country.
As some of these changes are taking effect, we will see the impact that they have on due process, on appeal rights, on the ability for asylum seekers to actually make a claim.
But refugee lawyers say Ottawa needs to suspend the agreement now and stop sending migrants to a country that has policies Canada considers harmful to children.
Canada, regardless of the short-term political consequences, needs to step up and stand for the basic principles and values that we've always stood for.
The Safe Third Country Agreement only applies at official border posts. So to avoid being sent back, people enter Canada at unofficial crossings like Quebec's Roxham Road. Ending the agreement might annoy the Trump administration, but it would also mean that asylum seekers could go back to entering Canada through regular border crossings. Evan Dyer, CBC News, Ottawa.
You heard Evan mention the Safe Third Country Agreement. Well, the government of Canada says that agreement can only be agreed to with a country that respects human rights and offers a high degree of protection to asylum seekers. The United States is the only country that Canada has designated under those terms.
Oh, we have some major developing stories tonight, beginning with a man in Toronto struck and killed by a subway train. Just moments ago, the Toronto Police Service announcing that they've charged a 57-year-old man with first-degree murder. The suspect's name not yet released, but police say he is expected to appear in court tomorrow. They also say they're still trying to identify the victim. He's described as Asian. He's believed to be in his early 50s or 60s. And at this point, police say there is no connection between the suspect and the victim, and the motive is still unclear. Also tonight, a good night for the Conservative Party in a federal by-election in Quebec. The CBC News decision desk is projecting that the Conservative candidate in Chicoutimi-Lafiore riding will win. That is Richard Martel casting his ballot earlier today. His win is a loss for the Liberal Party. It won the seat in 2015 and held on to it until their MP resigned last year for personal reasons. To give you a sense of just how important this race was, last week the leaders of all three major parties appeared on the campaign trail to support their candidates. And here is a live look at Parliament Hill, where the federal government has cleared another hurdle in its push to legalize recreational marijuana. The latest version of its legalization bill is now back with the Senate.
It's Goldsmith-Jones.
MPs today voting in favor of a bill that rejects several key changes proposed by the Senate. Now it is up to senators to decide whether they want to fight for their recommendations or accept the government's bill. If they fight, the bill would once again go back to the House, and that would delay legalization. 5 Canadian families are stuck in limbo tonight. They wanted to adopt, filled out the paperwork, paid the expensive fees, and waited for months. But when they traveled to Japan to bring their babies home, they were told, stay put. Renee Filipponi has their stories.
Okay, so this is the baby's room.
Preparation is key for any expectant parent, and Ryan Hogue is ready to welcome his new daughter home.
So this is a kimono that we bought for our baby in Japan as well.
But his baby and wife are half a world away, stuck in Tokyo.
I check in with her numerous times daily just because I am concerned for her. You know, she is alone. She's with our baby, and I want to make sure that she's okay.
The couple traveled to Japan in May to meet their daughter, whose image they are protecting. Within a month, they were expecting to get a visa and return home.
This panda is a gift from her loving grandparents.
Instead, they were told the Canadian government had temporarily suspended visas for infants coming from Japan.
It got to the point late last week where she called me crying and sort of saying, I don't understand why the government is doing this to us. we've followed the process, Ryan. They're not listening.
And they aren't the only ones. 4 other BC families are waiting for visas for their babies.
アメリカやカナダ
Each has been working with a Japanese adoption agency called Baby Life, which has been matching Canadian parents with infants for nearly a decade.
So why did it work 200 times before, and now in these 5 cases it's a problem?
This immigration lawyer says the move follows a decision made by the U.S. to restrict Japanese adoptions. The U.S. says Japanese courts now need to approve all international adoptions, which hasn't always been the case. Immigration Canada says it's trying to clarify what is going on and that it's treating this issue as a priority. And while it is looking into the issue, it cannot finalize the processing of cases where the adoption will be completed in Canada.
The families can't simply sit in Japan indefinitely while this is going on. Some of them have been there already for over 8 weeks. You're only allowed to be in Japan on a visa for 12.
He loves going on the train here.
Marcy Nestman and her partner are still in Tokyo with their son. They have been struggling with the emotional and financial strain. She says every day she waits for happy news.
We just want to share our child with our family and friends and be home.
Hi, how are you doing?
Hogue waits alone, bags still packed, hoping for clarity in a situation that has left his family in limbo.
I missed my first Father's Day with my baby. I miss them dearly, and I want to celebrate Canada Day in Canada with them. I want them back in Canada.
Renee Filipponi, CBC News, Vancouver.
The number of Canadians adopting children from abroad is declining. In 2016, there were about 805 international adoptions, a dramatic decrease from the nearly 1,400 back in 2012. Why? Well, according to the Adoption Council of Canada, it's expensive. It can cost up to $50,000. It's a long process. It can take anywhere from 18 months to several years to complete. And finally, a growing number of countries are imposing restrictions or all-out bans on international adoptions.
Here's a look at what else we're working on tonight on The National. He says he stopped eating, sleeping, and bathing. An addiction to video games consumed his life. The push tonight to recognize a modern mental health condition.
And with hundreds of thousands of homes at risk, how one coastal community is bracing for rising sea levels.
And on tonight's national documentary, Facebook's war on hateful, violent content, meet a woman who was paid to look at what many turn away from.
Primarily pornography, sometimes bestiality, child pornography. There was a lot of that.
Ignore, delete, ignore, delete, delete, ignore, delete, delete, ignore, delete.
So if you've ever spent more than a few hours playing video games, you may want to pay attention to this next story. The World Health Organization has added a new disorder to its list of mental health conditions, gaming disorder, saying that it is similar to substance abuse and addictive gambling. Symptoms include ignoring other activities or interests, sleep disturbance, a change in appetite. And for a diagnosis to be made, the negative effects of too much gaming must continue for at least 1 year. The good news, the WHO says only about 1 to 3% of gamers actually meet those criteria. Salima Shivji talked to a recovering gaming addict who described just how destructive it can be.
Oh my God, I have. For many, it's a simple pastime, but for others, gaming is an obsession or worse, an all-encompassing addiction. Jake Yuskowski lived it when he left home for university.
I hadn't showered in weeks, if not months. I'd barely eaten. I'd stayed up all night, every night, playing games until I would pass out, because that was the easiest way that I could escape the massive amounts of shame.
His relationship with his mother suffered. She saw the signs but felt helpless until he hit rock bottom.
No one wants to see their son look like that. It was heartbreaking. And it was also extremely surprising that those kinds of symptoms could occur just from someone playing video games.
That misconception may soon change with news the World Health Organization will add gaming disorder to its international classification of diseases.
Gaming has now been added because of very clear scientific evidence.
It's a huge step, says the psychology professor who advised the WHO on its recommendation.
I think one of the things it does bring attention to is the fact that psychiatrists, psychologists, mental health workers all need to learn a little more about what constitutes a gaming disorder, and that it's a legitimate area in which individuals can seek treatment for that kind of problem.
A legitimacy that could lead to more research and perhaps even better insurance coverage for those seeking help.
Sure, it'll be dangerous.
It affects just a small percentage of gamers now, but experts predict the numbers will grow. The gaming industry is strongly opposed to the WHO's move, in a statement saying it needlessly stigmatizes a pastime not unlike many others in the digital age. The Yuskoskis couldn't disagree more.
So we can start studying this more deeply, taking this subject more seriously for all the people like me and all the people who still suffer.
Welcome news as he celebrates a milestone, 1 full year since he last played a game. Salima Shivji, CBC News, Toronto.
Okay, so how do some other countries approach this compulsive gaming? South Korea has what's called a shutdown law, and it forbids anyone under 16 from playing video games online between midnight and 6 a.m. China has a system of boot camps, which offer some harsh treatment to some of the country's estimated 23 million internet addicts. So just how many people are actually gamers? Well, in the past month, you probably know this, you may be one of them, 52% of Canadians have played. That's almost 19 million of all of us. Globally, 2.6 billion people play video games.
Up next on The National, hate speech, troubling content, and the spread of fake news. Facebook says it is trying to tackle all of it. We will take you to Silicon Valley to hear how.
There are more than 1 million accounts per day that we stop at the time of creation because we know that they are fake.
1 million a day?
Yes.
First, though, as we head to the break, the White House hosted legendary astronaut Buzz Aldrin today as Donald Trump announced new space initiatives, including the first new branch of the U.S. military in more than 70 years.
We are going to have the Air Force and we are going to have the Space Force, separate but equal.
As Trump hinted there, up until now, space has been part of the U.S. Air Force's mission. It has been a concern for the Pentagon from the moment the first satellites were launched. A year after Sputnik, the U.S. tested nukes at the upper edge of Earth's atmosphere.
Nuclear detonations were delivered from the desired locations to the designed altitude.
Oh, that view is tremendous.
For all the talk of human achievement, the space program was always a national security effort.
I look on the Apollo program and the space program as technical life insurance for the future of this country.
My fellow Americans.
While Ronald Reagan's space-based missile defense remained mostly science fiction, the Soviet and U.S. militaries were developing real satellite-killing weapons.
Space has become a theater of operations. Soviets are doing all they can in space. You can't afford to flirt with that balance of power.
China tested its first satellite killer in 2007. From communications to GPS, reliance on space has grown. The more things change, the more space is seen the same way.
Space is a warfighting domain just like air, ground, maritime, and cyber.
So Trump's Space Force may just be another small step on the march to militarize the final frontier.
Facebook profits from its power to shape an ocean of user-generated content, bubbling up the stuff we want to keep us clicking, commenting, and sharing. And it's all very good for business, until it isn't. From recent revelations about how Facebook was used to spread fake news, to growing concerns about violent or extremist content and hate speech, the company has faced scrutiny like never before. So how is it responding? Susan Ormiston went inside Facebook to find out.
Facebook wants to be liked, but lately some thumbs down, pressuring CEO Mark Zuckerberg to explain.
We didn't take a broad enough view of our responsibility, and that was a big mistake. And it was my mistake, and I'm sorry.
The social media giant on Hacker Way in Menlo Park, California, is under pressure. Venturing inside Building 10 and the inner courtyard of one of Facebook's campuses feels like strolling down an outdoor mall. Restaurants, bars, even a place to hang in Hackers Square. The ideal environment to consider how best to connect the world. But these days, Facebook needs its Zen garden.
I mean, that's what it's all about. Yeah, absolutely.
As it's forced to try and fix the collateral damage from users who hijack Facebook to spread violence, fake news, or hate.
Our hate speech policy, if I think back 5 years ago, it was a much less nuanced policy. But as we've seen the words that people use to attack one another change, we've incorporated that into our standards.
We asked Monica Bickert, Vice President of Global Policy, to answer some complaints about content.
We make clear we don't remove something just for being upsetting or offensive. But ultimately, we will only remove something if it crosses the line into, for instance, hate speech or bullying or harassment. Where we draw the line is if people start attacking other people based on their race, their religion, other characteristics that are sensitive or protected.
What about sex? What about being a woman?
Yes, if somebody criticizes somebody else or attacks somebody solely on the basis of her gender, we will remove that comment.
But sometimes the damage is already done. Take Alex Minassian, who drove a van down Toronto's Yonge Street, ramming into people.
The accused is alleged to have posted a cryptic message on Facebook minutes before he began driving the rented van.
Minassian's post praised mass killer Elliot Rodger, who targeted women and killed 6 people in 2014.
If we find any evidence of a credible threat, our terms and the law allow us to send that directly to law enforcement, and that's what we do.
So let me understand clearly. Elliot Rodger had already committed a crime, murdered 6 people in the United States some time ago. So his name would have flagged anything. So are you taking down anything that mentions Elliot Rodger?
His name wouldn't necessarily flag anything. Reviewers know that you cannot praise or support Elliot Rodger. So if somebody reported content to us or we somehow became aware of content that was praising or supporting him, we would remove it.
In this case, Facebook removed Minassian's account after the rampage. Identifying harmful posts or fake accounts is becoming such a challenge, the company is growing an army of content reviewers, now 7,500 spread throughout the world.
Every day, people from all over the world share billions of things on Facebook.
Recently, for the first time, Facebook published its standards for what is or is not acceptable content, revealing how it decides to pull content or leave it up.
If you see something that you think violates these standards, report it by clicking the report link.
Did you do that because of pressure? Because of people unhappy with what content they see on Facebook?
We did listen to people who said, you've removed a post of mine and I don't really understand why. And so in that sense, this was us responding to what people were asking for, which was more information. But part of this is also about just being open about the kind of community we're trying to create.
It's not enough to just connect people. We have to make sure that those connections are positive. It's not enough to just give people a voice. We need to make sure that people aren't using it to harm other people or to spread misinformation.
Facebook is struggling to contain fake news, like the so-called news recently that Florida's Parkland students were paid actors. It circulated widely on Facebook and was patently untrue. For news that is deemed questionable, Facebook says it will shrink the prominence of those posts on your feed.
Why not label it false? Why not say this is fake?
What we're realizing is that it's actually better, it's more successful, and people like it more if we simply provide them with more context to understand what they're seeing and how that fits with the other news that is online.
So are you saying people reacted poorly or negatively towards tagging information that was false when they thought it was true?
I'm saying that we're testing different approaches to see what works best in getting people the context and the information they need to discern whether something is true.
Facebook is still trying to recover from the U.S. election scandal when it became a tool for Russian trolls spreading false news.
We know that there were accounts before the 2016 election that shouldn't have been there. Those were fake accounts, they were inauthentic accounts, they didn't belong on Facebook, and we should have found them faster. We're developing technical tools that look for signals that tell us when an account might be fake. And now our tools are good enough that there are more than 1 million accounts per day that we stop at the time of creation because we know that they are fake.
1 million a day?
Yes.
That's a pretty big number.
This is a sign that our tools are getting much better and that we'll be able to keep the site much cleaner from this sort of content.
The Canadian government has warned Facebook to be vigilant for fake news leading up to the federal election in 2019. Prime Minister Trudeau met Facebook's COO Sheryl Sandberg at Davos.
We do know that, and the Prime Minister has said that he has met with Facebook several times, basically with the same message. If you don't curb your content better, then we are going to regulate you more. Do you expect more regulation?
We'll keep talking to the government, but at the same time, our incentives are really aligned. They want Facebook to be a safe place, and so do we.
The job of guarding Facebook from troubling user content is staggering. As you heard Susan mention, there are 7,500 people worldwide reviewing content for Facebook. That is up significantly from last year. They're members of a team working on safety and security that the company plans to expand to 20,000 people by the end of the year. That's a small city of employees facing toxic images and messages. And that's just one company. Twitter and YouTube are wrestling with the same problem. And that's why Susan looked deeper at Facebook's cleaners, the people policing the line between the company's utopian vision of a more connected world and, from the social network's dark corners, the dystopia that's seeping in.
It's as if Pandora's box is open and all the evils on social media are spilling out.
Hey, this nigga, he represents Trump.
The torture of a mentally handicapped youth went live on Facebook before it could be stopped.
This is up, man, because, innocent people about to die today.
This man's intent to murder was also posted live on Facebook.
Like I said, I killed 13, so I'm working on 14 as we speak.
These Canadian university women suffered violent and sexist posts. Facebook pulled down 21 million posts of adult nudity or porn and 2.5 million examples of hate speech in just 3 months this year. But like a cancer, it keeps coming back.
I was a spam analyst.
Sarah Katz worked at Facebook for 8 months in 2016. We met her at a cafe in Palo Alto, California. Her sole job was to review content, up to 8,000 posts a day, and decide whether to pull them down or leave them up.
Primarily pornography, sometimes bestiality, child pornography. There was a lot of that. Obviously, the child trafficking was the content that stayed with me the most.
What did you witness?
It was... Am I okay to speak here? Okay, I don't want to bother people. There was a girl, she was about 12, and a little boy was 9. And they were standing facing each other and they didn't have pants on, and there was someone off the camera. He was speaking another language, but they were touching each other, so he's probably just telling them what to do. So that was disturbing because I'd never seen anything like that.
Robinson was approached by a man who killed him in cold blood.
Violent, hateful content is rising as Facebook doubles down on efforts to find it.
If you look at the bigger picture, there are lots of horrible things that are happening in the world.
James Mitchell is Director of Risk and Response at Facebook's headquarters in Menlo Park, California.
Naturally, that behavior begins to manifest itself on Facebook, not just there, but in a whole host of other ways.
People are using Facebook to manifest these very violent and toxic things that are happening.
Yep, yeah, I know.
And you guys you just have to live with that, because if it's open, it's open. Is that the response?
I think the way to look at that is the content reviewers' job is to try to minimize that. And I think that's something that the team takes a great deal of satisfaction in, knowing that their job is to minimize those negative experiences that people might have. I think we certainly see ourselves as a team that has the ability to minimize that harm in the world.
Alright, safe to delete. Delete, ignore. It's delete.
But the costs of policing the world's evil are growing.
Ignore. Delete.
A new documentary, The Cleaners, exposes how Facebook hires inexpensive labor in countries like the Philippines to monitor content. An intense job with some nasty side effects.
I've seen hundreds of beheadings. Ignore, delete, ignore, delete, delete, ignore, delete, delete, ignore, delete, ignore, delete.
Until recently, this work was mostly in the shadows.
Delete, ignore.
The filmmakers say they got no access to Facebook or the contracting companies who hire the workers offshore. Their film headlined at Toronto's Hot Docs Festival.
They are hiding the debate, they are hiding the dilemma they are facing with building these platforms and not feeling responsible for what goes on these platforms.
Sarah Roberts, an academic at UCLA, was a consultant to the filmmakers.
It is the unpleasant underbelly. It is the necessary evil. And it doesn't bring revenue. It doesn't generate positive affect. It does the opposite. It costs money.
Roberts has been tracking content review in social media for 10 years as the volume has just exploded.
We're talking about billions of posts per day when it comes to Facebook. We're talking about 400 hours of video content per minute, 24/7. We're talking about YouTube, so this amount is vast. But really, even 20,000 workers, I mean, how can they reasonably adjudicate a platform of billions of users?
The social media giants are being forced to come clean and protect against the mental repercussions of workers looking at millions of troubling posts every day.
You definitely do grow desensitized. Facebook is very upfront about how you will be viewing graphic material. So they have you sign a waiver. At the time I was there was no counseling. I didn't really personally feel the need for counseling, but I did meet some folks whom I believe it would have benefited.
We try to ensure that everybody gets and has resources for psychological counseling. And that's extraordinarily important as we think about the wellness of the people that are working on these issues.
But Mitchell acknowledges the volume of extreme material is rising, will rise, and get more nuanced. So increasing the numbers of content reviewers won't solve all the problems.
The other big wild card is just the way the world continues to evolve.
Do you think you'll have to be more of a policeman and less of an open platform?
I think from the perspective of content reviewers, we've always played that policeman role. So much of what we do and we see is dependent on what people are sharing. And that's changing every few months. And so that dynamic nature to content that's being shared on our platform will continue to create challenges for us.
Susan Ormiston, CBC News, Menlo Park, California.
Still ahead on The National, we'll take a closer look at how rising sea levels are putting hundreds of thousands of homes across the U.S. in danger.
How far up do you think the water might go?
Within the next 30 years, we could see up to 2 feet of sea level rise in this area.
Warnings about the rise in sea level across U.S. coastal communities are not a new phenomenon, but today, new numbers by the Union of Concerned Scientists, yep, that's a real thing, suggest the reality may be a lot worse than expected and, as it turns out, a lot more expensive. According to this study, more than 310,000 homes are projected to be at risk of flooding by 2045. So that number rises to 2.5 million homes by the end of the century, and that has cities, as you can imagine, looking for solutions. Kim Brunheimer visited one community in California as it faces an uncertain future.
Here in Foster City, there isn't much that's not man-made. It's a planned suburb, rows of houses set along a chain of canals and waterways southeast of San Francisco. This lagoon, the land itself, all of it artificial, built on infill dumped into the sea. Only the geese are natural. And one of the biggest natural disasters threatening this city, also man-made.
Where are you going? Okay.
20-year-old Annie Hackett. She grew up here in Foster City, a community of about 30,000 people.
Look at that.
She's heard that because of climate change, sea levels are slowly rising. Now, every time she looks at the ocean, she imagines it lapping hungrily at her front porch.
My house is feet from the water even. So if water rised, it would probably flood my street.
It's not if the water rises, it's when. And at risk isn't a distant generation yet unborn, it's hers.
Got you.
How far up do you think the water might go?
Within the next 30 years, we could see up to 2 feet of sea level rise in this area.
I'm walking with Christina Dahl, the lead author of a new report examining the effects of sea level rise. Some have predicted that sea levels in the San Francisco Bay Area might rise as much as 2 meters by the end of the century. Dahl's study compared those latest sea level rise predictions with current real estate data. Those numbers suggest many more homes in the U.S. will be affected than previously predicted.
By the end of the century, we found that there are over 2.5 million commercial and residential properties at risk of chronic inundation. Those are valued today at over $1 trillion.
The Federal Emergency Management Agency puts out maps that predict the risk of flooding for neighborhoods across the country, but those maps don't take sea level rise into consideration. One of the reasons American homeowners may be underestimating the threat they could be facing within the lifetime of their mortgage. Here in Foster City, for instance, this levee is meant to protect the community behind it, but at the projected rate of sea level rise, this levee won't be high enough to save thousands of homes.
The measurements are actually showing that there's a curve of sea level rise that starts off gradual with time, and then it spikes as the years progress.
Not only is the sea rising, he says, the land itself is also sinking. Much of the Bay Area is actually reclaimed land built on engineered landfill. And Foster City is sinking faster than almost anywhere else, as much as 2 centimeters a year. So during the recent primary elections, Foster City's government proposed a ballot measure, $90 million worth of property tax increases to fund raising the levees by 2.5 meters. And Foster City residents voted yes by more than 80%. But larger scale infrastructure improvements like raising bridges and moving freeways could cost billions, not just here locally, but across almost all coastal communities.
We have concern.
Foster City resident Howard Hertz fears if the federal government doesn't focus more on disaster prevention instead of disaster relief, by the end of the century, his home will be neck deep in water.
I don't feel that our president and much of the Republican-controlled Congress is concerned about much more than today.
There are 2 clear options, Dahl says. Fight the sea by building up like they're doing here in Foster City, or retreat.
Sea level rise is a slow-moving disaster, and we need to prepare for it ahead of time so that we're not caught off guard.
But those who live here ask themselves, if you build up, how high? And if you retreat, how far? Kim Brughuber, CBC News, Foster City, California.
Canadian coastal cities are asking themselves those similar questions. For example, Surrey, BC is looking at buying out some 400 homes that are at risk and allowing the area to turn into a wetland. If it went through, it would be the biggest government housing buyout ever. The city also is considering short-term options like a massive concrete barriers. So what could rising sea levels actually look like? According to the U.S.-based organization Climate Central, here's what could happen to Metro Vancouver if temperatures went up 2 degrees Celsius and nothing is done to mitigate the damage. Parts of North Vancouver and Richmond would be underwater. At another 2 degrees, and Stanley Park is an island. The situation isn't much better on the East Coast. Watch what happens to Charlottetown as the temperature rises. After a 2-degree increase, the harborfront is at risk of disappearing. Hit 4 degrees and inland properties could have a view of the ocean.
Tonight on The National, the mother of Reena Virk, the teen killed by school bullies, has died. Sumin Virk died Saturday after what's being described by her family as a tragic accident. Her daughter, Reena, was 14 years old back in 1997 when she was beaten and drowned by a group of teens. In the years following, Suman and her husband became well-known anti-bullying advocates.
I can't think of a better replacement than someone like Prince Charles. He looked very handsome, and my daughter looked beautiful with him. I was jealous. I wish I had been there. I wish it had been me.
That is Meghan Markle's father speaking publicly for the first time since the royal wedding. Thomas Markle told Good Morning Britain he regretted not being well enough to walk Meghan down the aisle, but he said he was grateful that Prince Charles took his place.
Just forget lemonade stands. There's a 6-year-old in Lance Amour, Labrador, and he's saving up for the bike of his dreams, and he is selling not lemonade, no, bags of ice from nearby icebergs. And yeah, you better believe it, he's making a killing, and that is our moment of the day.
Me and my dad went over the bottom of the cove. I know you can see this iceberg, but in the background there's more icebergs.
Jax Ryland started selling the ice last week. He says he got the idea from his dad.
The iceberg behind us, he goes in the beach, and me and my dad goes over on the boiler, and we chops it up, and I puts it in a epoxy, and we bring it home, we chop it up again, and we put it in a bag.
Jax is selling the ice for $4 a bag. He's already sold 145. So how many more does it take to get that bike?
100.
Another 100 bags.
He's well on his way. So here's the deal, young Jax. I know Dad gave you the idea, but there's a 9-year-old veteran of the Berkey Bits business last year also selling those bags for $5 a pop with the slogan, "Get 'em while they're cold."
And they're very good in cocktails, is what I hear.
And so, quick question for both of you. You know, Jack's mom saying that the iceberg ice lasts longer in a drink than regular ice. True or false?
You know what? I'm willing to go
true.
test it.
See, like, why would it last longer? Because it's still water, it's still ice, but the U.S. Geological Survey has addressed this question, and their answer, based on science, is yes, ice from icebergs lasts longer than regular ice. Has to do with the size of the crystals. Something I learned tonight.
Which makes the cocktail better.
Okay, there you go. That is The National for Monday, June 18th. Good night.
Good night.